Et aujourd'hui, c'est le jour où on commence un nouveau mot. So today is the day when we start a new word. And what I've got here is I've got a cahier page which sort of like gives you an overview of the word. We're going to have a little bit of an explore together and see. Really, the question is, est-ce qu'il mérite une page dans mon cahier? Actually, rather than just une page, probably a set of pages. So, will this word, which is, as you can see in the center of the page there, l'air, unusual perhaps choice, probably not what you were expecting. Does that word really merit the effort of you spending the next 4 weeks or so concentrating on it? Is it is it worth time writing things down in your cahier? Well, that's for you to decide, and I'm just going to give you some information to help you make that decision. By the way, you might decide, no, actually, I want to carry on looking at a word that we've already started exploring. I haven't finished yet with prendre, ou passer, ou un coup, or être, or faire, even. So that's fine. You just have a little glimpse at this, and you might decide to come back to this at a later date. So let's have a look at what l'air does, and you can make your own choices. Surprising again how much it brings, because actually it's a noun, but it's about something that's all encompassing. It's a life force, isn't it? Air, we can't live without it. And it's autour de nous, en nous, et entre les deux. So it's around us, in us, and between both as well. So it's everywhere, air. Now we can have a look at it in terms of l'atmosphère, le vent, la pluie, le brouillard, la neige, givre, les airs, aviation. So what goes on in the atmosphere, up in the air, as it were. We can talk about it in terms of people's behavior, what they're doing. So avoir l'air. So it could be apparence, their appearance, impression, l'impression que ça te donne. Avoir l'air fatigué, triste, étonné. So that's a little bit like what we did with être. You have avoir l'air and then add it with an adjective to describe what somebody seems to be like. And even prendre un air, take on an air of, something of sophistication, for example. So that's another area that we can explore. But then we can go a little bit further. We can go aspirer, like aspirer. So aspiration. Now, a vacuum cleaner in French is called un aspirateur, because it sucks things up. But funny enough, aspiration is what you expect it to be, which is aspiration as well. So we've got double meaning there, but it's linked to air, isn't it? Yes. Aspirer à, to aspire to, désir, ambition, so all those things linked in with air as well. Souffle, souffler. You know what the food souffle is. You know it's got lots of air, isn't it, in it, pumping it up. But souffler, the verb is yeah, souffler, souffler. Oh, je peux souffler maintenant. Have a sort of like I can breathe. I can let out a sigh. Le souffle, not souffler. Le souffle. Le soupir, retenir son souffle. Hold one's breath. So there you go. So there's all of that. Inspirer. Now, inspirer, obviously you could guess the link with English to inspire, but actually, if I just go up here to breathing, respirer, which is to breathe, we've got inspirer is inspirer, expirer is to breathe out, and then we use the poumon, the lungs, to breathe, the souffle, haleine is breath. So then you sort of like link down to, isn't that interesting that inspiration actually comes and confidence comes from a breath in French, It's quite interesting, isn't it? How the language thinks about these things differently. Inspiration could be a breath in or an inspiration, and then we can lead into création and imagination. So incredibly broad, isn't it? So, quelles idées vous surprennent? So, what surprises you in there to link to l'air? We've got aviation, which is air travel, ambiance, apparence, désir, inspiration, création. Est-ce que ce mot mérite une place dans votre cahier? And another area which is connected to air, l'air, are two big of sort of like lexical families, two roots actually. And we've got aéro. Aéro is linked to it, as you know, aéro. So aérien, aéroport, aération, aérodynamique. So we can explore that. And we got pneu, pneu, which is a tire. Pneumonie, pneumologue, respiration. And we recognize those in English as well. So over the next 11 tutos, when we continue to look at l'air, we're going to explore all of this and start thinking about our connection with words in a slightly different way this time. Because we're going to look at the concept of air in our lives and how that reaches out across all sorts of different things in daily life, really. Rather than sort of like thinking about what do I do at the boulangerie, what do I do at the airport, that sort of thing, we can say, well, what is the meaning behind this? How do I understand this concept of l'air, this idea, which obviously we all live with, we all understand, and how does that come through in language and ways of thinking perhaps in French, which are potentially different from the way that we think in English, which I think is incredibly interesting. Merci beaucoup. Bah, au prochain. Et puis, à bientôt. Au revoir. Bye bye.